Hello everyone and welcome to the webinar Adventures in Crowdsourcing Incident Management Tools, the very first webinar in the EDC5 webinar series. This webinar is sponsored by the Federal Highway Administration and hosted by the National Operations Center of Excellence, or NOCO. My name is Neelu Parvinashtiani and I'll help facilitate today's webinar. Before we start, as a quick reminder, and if you don't know this already, at NOCO we offer resources to support the transportation system management and operations community. So on your screen right now you see on the right side there is a useful links box. So from there you can access TSMO related resources and news. Including previous webinar recording and case studies related to all the TSMO-related topics, including traffic incident management. So a few logistics before we start. This webinar is being recorded, and the recording along with the presentation slides will be available on the on-demand learning section of the NOCO website. All the attendee phones are on listen-only mode by default, but we'd like you to use the question discussion pod on the screen for any comments or questions during the webinar. So any questions come to your mind, just type it in that pod, and at the end of the webinar, each question will be read out loud, one at a time by the moderator, and our presenters will answer each question. So that is all I have, and with that, I would like to hand it over to our moderator for today, Nathaniel Price, to start us off. Nathaniel?
All right, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our Adventures in Crowdsourcing EDC5 webinar series. Today we'll be hearing about crowdsourcing tools for traffic incident management. The EDC5 program is an FHWA initiative to deploy proven tools, technologies, or strategies with states and local transportation agencies. The two-year program currently in our fifth round includes 10 innovations, among which is crowdsourcing for operations. As Neil said, I'm Nathaniel Price. I'm with Federal Highway Administration, and I'm a member of our EDC5 Crowdsourcing for Operations National Implementation Team, and I'll be facilitating today's webinar. Joining us today will be Ashley Booster with the Missouri Department of Transportation, and Ashley will be talking about their Haws and MakeWay pilots they have implemented. And we'll have John Parker with the Pennsylvania Turnpike Authority. John will be talking about their early warning detection tool. And then finally, Juan Hernandez with the Nevada Department of Transportation. And Juan will be talking about their crowdsourcing tool for traffic incident management. The goal for crowdsourcing for operations is to increase the number of agencies that use crowdsourcing to better operate the transportation system through new, cost-effective, and proactive operational strategies and applications. States are at many different levels of capability, maturity, and what crowdsourced data they collect, how they manage this data, how they integrate this data with other traditional roadway sensors or camera data, and how they use this data. Over 30 states chose a set of goals specific to their needs to achieve improvements in crowdsourcing. These goals vary from acquiring a crowdsourced data stream, testing the accuracy of crowdsourced provider, filtering the data for elements of value, automating the integration of data, providing analytics capabilities to make better use of the data, changing workflow to make use of the data, or even automating entire workflows using data. This map shows the self-identified level of capability maturity for each state in implementing crowdsourced data. We recognize also that crowdsourced data is one of a number of sources of data that supports transportation operations. And like other sources of data, crowdsourced data can improve the broad suite of interconnected operational programs from traveler information and incident management to arterial management and work zone management. Agencies are also using crowdsourced data to support performance assessment and reporting functions. The key to unlocking the full potential of crowdsourced data is the integration of this with TMC operations, moving from manual viewing or entering of data to an integrated process and embedding it within agency, ATMS, and broader decision support systems. This table summarizes the goals for states through the EDC5 participation. The first column lists the stages of advancement. The EDC5 program prioritizes support to states that hope to advance in any application from their current self-selected stage to the next level. For states working on multiple applications, they may be at different stages for different applications. As far as the EDC5 program reporting, advancement in any single application demonstrates a jump or leap in crowdsourcing capability. These are some of the resources that we've developed to help agencies achieve their goals to implement crowdsourced data. I encourage you to participate in future offerings of our Adventures in Crowdsourcing webinar series. Our next scheduled webinar will be on November 5th. We'll be talking about engaging navigation providers. And then on December 5th, we'll be talking about vendor engagement. And we'll put a link to these webinars in the chat pod for you to access. We also have options to do workshops for your state. At the end of the webinar, you'll have the option to download our workshop flyer along with presentations from today's webinar. We'll be conducting peer exchanges, the first of which taking place in Nashville, Tennessee, where we will focus on lessons learned in the validation and filtering of free crowdsourced data. We're also able to provide on-site technical assistance, training, and case study information to help states and local agencies as they try to achieve their goals in implementing crowdsourced data. We have different funding opportunities available for agencies that choose to pursue crowdsourcing for operations. Two such options are the STIC incentives and aid demonstration grants. STIC funding of up to $100,000 supports the cost of standardizing innovative practices. Our team has a list of potential STIC incentive project ideas and can help find the right fit to advance crowdsourcing in your state. The aid demonstration funding is intended to help states offset the risk of trying an innovation that is not routinely used in their state. Eligibility information can be obtained on the EDC5 website. And finally, a couple other areas, additional resources to get information. Federal Highway does publish an EDC News weekly newsletter highlighting different EDC initiatives and real-world applications. And the Innovator magazine is a bi-monthly publication that provides advances in the implementation of innovative technologies and processes in the highway industry. Again, more information on these can be accessed on the EDC and FHWA Innovation website. So with that, I will go ahead and turn us over to our first presenter, and that will be Ashley Booster.
Thank you, Nathaniel. So as Nathaniel had mentioned, I am Ashley Booster with Missouri Department of Transportation. I am a traffic liaison engineer in the central office, which is located in Jefferson City in central Missouri. So we're going to talk a little bit today about some pilots that we've been doing on the western side of our state in Kansas City and on the eastern side of our state in St. Louis. And that's specifically referring to the Haws, Alert, and MakeWay. So first of all, why are we even looking at these technologies and what are they? So as most of you, I am sure, are encountering, one of our biggest concerns out on the road is the distracted driver. And we're seeing an increase of the crashes that involve a distracted driver and them impacting our field crews. In in regards to our incident response and just our maintenance fleet in general. So we started exploring some technologies that would allow us to alert the driving public of our field crews through crowdsourcing applications. So just basically letting drivers know that we're out there, increasing the awareness of us and our presence, and also to let them know to slow down or move over. And what the technologies actually are, the two pilots that we're testing, there's equipment that's installed in our fleet, and it essentially uses GPS and cloud-based solutions to get that information to the public. And basically what it does is when our fleet lights are on or activated, a notification gets added to the Waze app. And currently the amount of time for both the Haws alert and MakeWay safety, that takes about 30 seconds for it to happen as soon as our lights are activated. So what specifically are we as Missouri DOT doing, and how are we using this technology? So we are coordinating this in central office here in Jefferson City, just basically doing conversations with both pilots to make sure we're all on the same page and just situational awareness of what's going on across the state. And as I had previously mentioned, we're doing the pilot in Kansas City, which is actually also with KDOT. So this is through our KC Scout, our TMC in Kansas City, which partners both on the Missouri side and the Kansas side. So we're doing this, like I said, in Missouri in our Kansas City district, but we're also partnering with KDOT, and they are using the Haws alert. And then the pilot on the east side is in St. Louis district, and they are doing the MakeWay Pilot. So we are installing this on our equipment, installing this equipment on our fleet. And as I had mentioned earlier, we're doing this coordination in central office, so we actually have monthly update calls with both sides of the state, just again to make sure we're all on the same page and that whole situational awareness. So specifically on the Haws alert pilot, just a little bit of detail on the Kansas City side. So currently we have the equipment installed on MoDOT emergency response trucks, and then KDOT's and Kansas Highway Patrol motorist assist vehicles, which totals about 31 devices or 31 vehicles. On the MoDOT side, on the emergency response, we have 11 devices or 11 vehicles. KC Scout actually has one of the devices installed on its maintenance truck. And then in Kansas, on the DOT and the Highway Patrol side, they actually have 19 devices across the state in Kansas City, Wichita, Topeka, and Salina. So they are targeting their entire state, whereas in Missouri, we're just doing the Kansas City side and the St. Louis side. So whenever the pilot for the Haws alert started, it actually began, conversations began before April, but the pilot itself actually began in April. And we first started with a 60-day trial period. And of that 60-day trial period, we actually had one truck with the device installed on it on the MoDOT emergency fleet. And it alerted almost 9,700 drivers. So that alert was through the Waze app, and that accounted for about 968 incidents. So that was 9,700 drivers that were getting notified of our one emergency response truck up ahead that was responding to an incident. And then on the Kansas Highway Patrol side, which they administered their motorist assist program, and as I mentioned earlier, the device was installed on that motorist assist vehicle. So during this 60-day trial period, they had one truck as well, and they alerted about 3,600 drivers, which accounted for 560 incidents. So after the 60-day trial period, we decided we wanted to expand the duration of this pilot and also expand the amount of fleet that we were testing. So that's where we come to the total of the 31 vehicles on the Kansas City side. So from July to August, KC Scout tested the sending of the alerts from Haws to Waze, and on average, the time it took for the responding alert to show up on the app, so when the lights are actually activated, was an average of 26 seconds. And the amount of time for the on-scene alert was an average of 13 seconds. And the time for clearing, so when the alert is no longer on Waze, was an average of 12 seconds. So just to kind of recap a little bit, the 60-day trial period, we only had the 2 vehicles where we tested this. We've since expanded that pilot to 31 vehicles, and the duration of the pilot is going through April of 2020. So some things that the Haws Alert pilot can generate for us. We get monthly reports for the fleet activity, so those 31 vehicles that have the equipment installed on them, we're able to see the activity for all of those devices. There's also on-demand reports, so we can get Excel spreadsheets with GPS coordinates and speed detail for each vehicle. It can also give us a report for a number of incidents a specific vehicle responded to. It will also show us when the lights were on and when the lights were off. And it sends data every 2 seconds when the lights are off and every 5 seconds when the lights are on. So these on-demand reports are allowing us to track accuracy of the information. But again, there's monthly reports for all activity, and we can also run on-demand reports. And this just shows some graphics of what you actually see. So the image on the far right is what you actually see when you're in the Waze app. And so it's telling you that there's an incident 1/10 of a mile ahead. And then you see the alert icon, the triangle with the exclamation point. And so again, this is, if you have the Waze app, this is what the driver will be notified of. And you can see in the small blueprint below the 0.1 miles ahead, it says responding emergency vehicle nearby. So it's all about that awareness and notification to the driver. And then on the lower left-hand corner, that's actually the Waze application on a desktop, so on your computer. So it's the notice is similar to what the notice is on a cell phone. And then in the background, this is actually what you're seeing in our TMC. So you get the live view of our traffic camera that shows that there's actually, an emergency vehicle on the shoulder responding, and just gives a little more detail. So then moving on to the MakeWay Pilot. So this is the one that's piloting in our eastern side of our state, in our St. Louis district. So they currently have the devices installed on 18 of their emergency response vehicles, with some additional devices slated to be tested on department maintenance vehicles. So for this pilot, it actually began in March of 2019 and is currently through, to date, October of this year. They have 3 emergency response trucks where it's installed. And then beginning this month through March of 2020 is when the pilot will end. But by the end of this month, all 18 of the St. Louis District emergency response trucks and potentially 4 more maintenance vehicles, as I mentioned earlier, will have the device installed. So, like I said, currently we have 3, but they're working on expanding the pilot to all 18 this month, with an additional 4 more in the coming month or 2. So a little bit more in regards to the MakeWay. They are conducting moving operation tests to ensure that the alerts posted to Waze are relocating and moving on the Waze map in real time. So that's basically when our ER trucks are responding to an event. The St. Louis District is making sure the accuracy of what is actually put on the Waze app is reflected as accurate. So the notification on Waze app would actually move with the truck that is responding to that incident. And then the image you see here on the screen is what you see on the Waze app for the MakeWay application. So it's It's a little bit different than what you see for the Haws alert, but in general, it gives the same notification. So it's saying that 7.2 miles away that there's a car stopped. And in the small print in blue below that, it indicates that an emergency vehicle is stopped, make way. So some of the screens that you will see in the desktop application for the MakeWay application, this screen is actually showing you, if you're on your computer logged in, some of the things that you can do. You can look at asset information, device information, etc. So one specific screen here, this shows or gives you the ability to view all fleet and light state, so whether the lights are on or off. You can see all the trucks that have the equipment installed on them, and again, like what state they're in, if their lights are on or their lights are off. This screen allows you to get specific data for each ER vehicle, so specific into regards to their speed, again, their light state, where they're actually located. And then this is also like what you see on the desktop app for Waze. So just like with the Haws alert, it shows like the exact same icon with the triangle with the exclamation point, basically saying the car is stopped on the road, emergency vehicle stopped, make way. So the drivers are getting notified, or the public is getting notified either through the Waze app or even through desktop applications. So our next steps with these two pilots, obviously we're going to continue them through the rest of this year pilot, which is the spring of 2020. And then we're going to look at possible expansion. So as I'd mentioned earlier, the pilots actually started fairly small. And as we got into this a little bit more, we decided that we wanted to expand each of the pilots, and therefore, we're adding more fleet just to test and evaluate both of these technologies. And then we'll also, along the way as we're testing, working through some enhancements with both of these technologies as well. So at the end of the pilot, we're going to evaluate the benefits and also the accuracy of what's actually happening in the field and what's being reported on the Waze app to determine, again, how accurate that information is. We're going to continue to research other technologies that are out there that we may not know about, and then ultimately decide on potential statewide deployment of these devices to basically what I mentioned at the very beginning, to alert our drivers, specifically the distracted drivers out there, to increase awareness of our staff that are along the road and responding to these incidents, and hopefully decrease the amount of secondary accidents or incidents that we're seeing. So with that, I wanted to just say thank you guys, and to give a special thanks to Randy Johnson and Michael Flory on our Kansas City side of the state, who are leading this pilot with Haws alert, and then Jamie Rana on our St. Louis side of the state, and our St. Louis TMC, who's leading the effort for our St. Louis district with MakeWay. So with that, I will turn it over to John.
Thanks, Ashley. Actually, I just want to add on to the Haws alert. We did a pilot here at the Turnpike. We are actually going to implement our Haws alerts on our maintenance vehicles, the cone vehicles, our attenuators, and our safety patrol. So just to give a heads up there on what we're doing with Haws and how we're going to implement it here. We've had pretty good success with Haws. I will add that they do have a API feature. It's called Fleet Fusion. That you can actually integrate that API into your own systems. I actually didn't mention that, but Haws just offered that to us. So just to give everybody a heads up on, we did something with Haws, and it's been pretty successful. But my name is John Parker. I'm from the PA Turnpike. I'm a senior traffic operations manager. Fortunately and unfortunately, they call me the Waze guy or the wise guy, either one. I don't know which one you want to pick. But I'll just go through what we've been doing with third-party and crowdsourcing information here at the Turnpike and how we've kind of been applying it to incident management. So again, we're a connected partner with Waze. I'll just go through some current projects we're doing, some other things on where we're thinking and where our future is headed, and some issues that we've actually had with with Waze and other crowdsourcing apps. Again, with being a connected partner, we have access to the portal. We directly report our accidents and our construction zones. We have access to the feeds, so they come in, and we have been storing Waze data for probably about 2.5 years now, I think back to 2017. So that gives us a little bit of a heads up, and we'll be doing a little bit of a Waze deep dive. I think it's going to be pretty interesting, to figure out the data coming in. So all things Waze. We do a lot of different things with Waze. Just to go over, and I have some screenshots of all the different applications we're using Waze and crowdsourcing in. We have an E&S system, which is our emergency notification system. All our operators and our TOCs get alerts, and they're color-coded. The nice thing about the color code is if there is a thumbs up in Waze, it actually color codes it differently. The accidents and other alerts are color-coded differently, but it's kind of cool to get, hey, we know there's a Waze alert, but now there's a thumbs up, so it actually brings it up to the top and actually color codes it. Pretty cool feature there. We do report our work zones and their closures. We have a lot of special events here. We actually replace our bridges over weekends. It's called the ABC project. It's kind of pretty cool because they just slide all the bridge decks in. But before we do that, we actually reach out to Waze, and Waze throws a report out to everybody saying that the Turnpike will be closed for these 3 or 4 days while we actually replace a bridge. So that helps us out. Orbit, who is our regional map editor, actually helps us push that information out. The early warning detection tool is kind of a neat feature. It gives us half-mile active watch points along our roadway, and we kind of combine a lot of our crowdsourcing and third-party data together, and I'll get into that. That's one of the main things I want to get into. We do have an incident management dashboard, and I'll show you that. That actually is brought together by Click. That's the software we use, but it's been showing that we've been getting the Waze data about 3 to 4 minutes before we actually start getting our CADS calls or incidents. So we use that a lot for incident management. We actually have a Waze operational dashboard that we're going to roll out here in December. Again, giving our TOC kind of an overall view and kind of dashboards and, a quick look at the Waze alerts and what's coming in and what's happening. We actually have a star app. It's called, it's a mobile application that all of our on-call people have and maintenance people have. What that is, and just really quick, is it's situational traffic awareness response app. It takes everything that all the calls we get in and actually just puts it on your phone. So we wanted to make all, especially in operations, on-call people and maintenance people, fully aware and give them the tools on their mobile phones. So the Turnpike's been looking to do something like this, and it just got rolled out a couple months ago, and we had a lot of success with it, with people getting the information, getting the right information, and opening up that communication when we're responding better. So the ribbon wall, which is something kind of brand new to us. If you were actually sitting here with me, you'd actually see kind of like a linear view of the whole entire Turnpike, where the speeds are, where the incidents are, where our interchanges are, and where the actual backups are on the Turnpike. It's kind of a linear view of the Turnpike. Kind of a neat thing. I'll show you a little screenshot of it. And we have several other projects we're doing with either third party or Twitter or some crowdsourcing. So we've been doing a lot of different things. This is our emergency notification. Again, this is just a notification. It just comes in, tells us what the rating is, tells us what the confidence is, tells us what the reliability is. The nice part about this is we can create an advisory on our 511 site and create an advisory out in Waze directly from the screen. So just this gives us the capability of taking a Waze alert and turning it right into something that our customers can know and use. So the access to the portal, you guys probably have seen this before. You can report accidents. We have direct feeds for the closures and moving hazards and planned closures. I'm not really going to go over that. We do have map editors here. We have 2 of them. I will tell you, if you get into Waze, I would have a lot of people that are interested in editing the maps, your road, your linear features, and just the roads, exits, closures. To have these people, we have 2 or 3 of them in here in the RTOC that really love Waze and loves doing the map editing and the closures. The work zones, again, they're in here. Again, our map editors, or we can actually create them from ENS with the work closures. And it does say Pennsylvania Turnpike, and we get a lot of thumbs up for the work areas and work zones. So this is the early warning detection tool. I kind of want to go over this. What it is it's developed in Click. It takes half-mile segments of roadway and actually applies Waze alerts for that half-mile segment, applies the speed for that half-mile segment, and we get the weather for that half-mile segment. And what it does is you can set different criteria on what you're looking at. So if I wanted to look at a certain piece of road or an engineering district, or if I just wanted to see, one of our branches, one of our roadway branches, the Northeast Extension, I just want to monitor that, I could just monitor that. So what it does is it just takes a half-mile piece of roadway, and if I set the speeds to -10, you'll see on the screen here, this was actually set as -10, and it'll turn red when it's less than -10. So all these segments, half-mile segments on a roadway, we have slowdowns. Now you'll also see the weather on here. What the weather does is it goes out to all of our the closest AccuWeather station and gives you the weather for that particular half-mile segment. But the Waze alert comes in, and if there is an accident or major accident or minor accident, it'll turn it red and it'll tell you how many Waze accidents or incidents are in that half-mile segment. And the yellow here is just they're either warnings of road hazards within this half-mile segment of roadway. The best part about this is I have links to everything. So this half-mile segment of roadway, if I click on that particular link, it'll go to the closest weather station and give me weather for that half-mile segment. For the actual speed differential that I have here, if I click on the link there, it actually goes out to our TIMS viewer, which is our GIS viewer. It'll zoom down to that segment of roadway and give me the inter-X speeds for that particular segment of roadway. And the same thing with Waze. If there's 2 alerts here, I click on this particular link, it'll actually go out to the Waze live map, zoom down, and I get more information on that particular Waze alert. So the left side here is our filters. I can filter by Waze alerts, by reliability, by confidence, by thumbs up. I can sort by the different districts, the speeds, and it all interacts with this. The best part about this is every 2 minutes it goes out and gets a fresh new set of data. It goes out to Waze, it goes out to Inter-X, it goes out to the weather, reaches out for that half-mile segment, and brings it back in. So I get real-time crowdsourced data, third-party data right away. So again, it gives me that active watch point. And this is just our Waze feeds coming in. These are the jams, these are the accidents. So it just gives us a very good tool. It's called early warning detection tool because we want to, if there is something happening, our duty officers are now reacting to this now. They're saying, oh, there must be something going on there. And it's funny because when we have our maintenance guys go out, and sometimes they forget to actually call in a work zone, you actually see the half-mile segments building up, and then we make a quick phone call out to the maintenance guys. They're like, oh, yeah, we're setting up a pattern. So it's been a pretty good tool, a pretty good QA tool, and we just get our incidents a lot faster just by monitoring something like this. And again, if you guys know traffic operations, you're looking at 9 different applications, 8 different screens, trying to control everything and trying to bring that all together. We try to bring it all together in kind of one tool and one app. So that kind of gives us a good way of doing it. Our incident management dashboard, what this is the TIM timeline. The TIM timeline in itself is, T1 to, I think it's T6. And we actually monitor all of our incidents because we have our own CAD system. But we also integrated the crowdsourcing and Waze and Interrex into this to see how often, or if we were getting Waze before we actually getting the call, or if Interrex was showing something that we needed to look at and it was coming in before the call. So we actually integrated our crowdsourcing data with our CADS data and kind of made the incident timeline a little bit. I guess it gives us a more overview of what's going on and how we're responding. Are we responding fast enough? Do we have our DMS up fast enough? Did we clear the incident? When were we back to normal speed? So that's basically what the TIM timeline was. So this is an incident management dashboard that our incident guy uses all the time. But again, we integrated the crowdsourcing data into it. So here's a little bit about the Waze dashboard. Again, pretty cool feature. You can go through the different Waze alerts. We actually have our SkyGuard alerts that come up here. That's our weather that comes in through AccuWeather. But this just gives us an overall view of what's happening Waze-wise. If you actually click on the map here, it'll give you the closest camera. That's coming out probably in December sometime. But it gives you the overall view of how many Waze reports and summaries that we have been getting, or for either the day, the week, or the month, or the year. So what kind of Waze alerts have been coming in? That's just an overall view of Waze and how much we're getting operationally. So this is the Star mobile app. This has been, I guess, a star for us. Basically, it's traffic operations. We got together with our IT guys and just decreased, traffic operations visually. So the partnership with Waze, AccuWeather, Interrex, and CADS, all on your phone. So you're not calling in and asking the duty officer operations what's going on. You know stuff that's happening on your phone. And pretty cool app. We have about 100 users now. We will have more at some point in time because our maintenance guys do want it. So this is the map that shows up. It'll actually zoom in. It'll show the Interrex speeds, the Waze alerts. It'll show the actual event itself, what the event is, and it'll actually show the weather for that particular segment of roadway. Kind of taking the early warning detection tool and kind of making it more of a mobile app and awareness. So this is what shows up. If you want to know what's going on in the turnpike, you have this app. It shows you how many what disabled vehicles you have, police incidents, accidents, traffic control we're setting up, tunnel closures, you name it. And what it does is the CADS gives a certain priority, so all the major priorities show up on top and they're in red, especially anything that closes a lane or blocks a lane or injuries will all show up, and you can click on that little banner, and the little banner actually gives incident details of who's been dispatched, if there are injuries, how many lanes blocked, what the weather is there, whether your tower has been dispatched, fire EMS has been dispatched, so they're en route or they're actually on scene. So it gives you like an overall view of what's happening right at the scene, right there on your phone. So it's kind of a cool different app, again, using crowdsourcing data and third-party data to get the information out and get the communications out. This is the linear viewer. I hope you guys can see this. It's called ribbon wall. It's kind of like a straight line diagram for people that do a lot of GIS work. So this is a linear view of, and we right now we have a linear view of our main line, which is about 300 some odd miles, and our northeast extension, which is about 100 miles. But it shows live incidents, It shows speeds and waves, and as you can see here, the yellow and red and black. I mean, black means it's below, I think, 15 miles an hour. But and it shows if I had an incident here, there's actually an incident right over here. It actually color codes the incident. So an incident shows up, it's a yellow triangle. But if there's any lanes closed or there's blockage or there is a backlog, it actually turns that triangle to orange. So we know right away that there might be a backlog, there's a lane blocked, and we're looking at it. And this is a straight line diagram. This is probably about maybe about 50 to 75 miles of our turnpike, but it's now visual up on the TOC wall. So again, lane configurations, intersecting roads. The ribbon wall kind of gives us that kind of feel and look. We are going to put Waze incidents up there at some point in time, so we know where our major and minor accidents are. We just don't want to clutter the wall yet. This seems to be pretty clean. So other projects we're working on, we actually take the Waze potholes and Waze missing signs alerts, and we throw them out to our maintenance sheds. They love it because, you know, they have to monitor the road anyway, but it helps them say, hey, there's a pothole, or it looks like there's a pothole here. They'll go out. Again, Waze is an exact location, but they'll go out within a half mile or quarter mile, and they'll know that there's a pothole there or somebody has complained about a pothole multiple times. So an email goes out every Friday to every maintenance shed that says, here are your potholes that were reported in Waze. Does the same thing with missing signs, but that goes to our engineering group. So if there is a missing sign or somebody reported a missing sign, it goes to our engineering group to know that there's a missing sign there and we need to go look at it. We're in a testing phase for audio alerts. We tried this at milepost 100. What happens at milepost 100 in the turnpike is it goes from 70 miles an hour from 3 lanes to 2 lanes around the curve, down a mountain. So you guys know that that's a recipe for disaster. So we had a lot of accidents there. So we actually did a little bit of a hack into Waze. Your regional map editor can actually do this. You can actually hack into a segment and actually make your own message. Now we just tested it out, and it just says slow down, the advanced curve warning and lane reduction. And we got so many thumbs up, like within a month, it wasn't even funny. And it was a really good thing for us to know and learn. And Waze let us do it for a little bit, but then all of a sudden they took it out. So we're still on Waze to get the safety audio alerts out. And Waze has come back and really said to us, it's great that we have the safety audio alerts, but we don't want to saturate the system. So we want to try and push Waze as much as we possibly can for the safety stuff, especially advanced curve warning, or 3 lanes to 2 lanes, just different stuff like that. I think we need to start pushing Waze more. It has worked. The Waze people loved it. It's just, they have to worry about the saturation and where we actually put these safety audio alerts. They're fully aware of it. We've been pushing them for the last couple months on trying to get it to work and out there because we've tested it and we got a lot of thumbs up on it. It was pretty cool. We did something different with our Orbit, our regional map editor. We did toll booth slowdown alerts. If you come within our toll booths and you are actually going above the 5-mile-per-hour speed limit, you will get a ding on an audio alert on your phone. This is just to help our workers and our toll workers to have people slow down, but we've done this on a lot of our toll booths. So the Waze Deep Dive, we're doing a lot of different stuff with Waze Deep Dive. I can go into a whole other conversation with saturation, confidence levels, regional levels, a lot of different stuff we're trying to do there, but we're going to do like a kind of a Waze Deep Dive with our IT and our data analytics department. And what to do with the SDK. Again, that's another question. We know it's available to us, but we don't know exactly what we're going to do with it yet. So storing data. We store every 5 minutes. We do a correlation to our data lake, which gets us down to our tenth of a mile post. and we developed apps from this particular data lake. So some of the issues, and I will tell you this, Waze is great, but the communication issues, sometimes there's a communication breakdown. Having one point of contact would be great, but I don't think we'll ever get it. But sometimes the feeds overlap. And what I mean by that is our moving vehicle feed or our closure feed, or somebody puts a closure in and somebody else puts a closure in. We have a little bit of overlaps in the feeds. And I've actually sat with Waze and actually offered them a contract and said, hey, we'll pay you if you give us a better relationship. They wanted nothing to do with it. They were like, no, we give you the data, you give us the data, we're good. So we tried to establish that, and that really didn't work. So again, I'll end up with any questions you have. I went over a lot of different stuff, but if you have any questions, there's my email and my phone number, and I will hand it over to Juan.
Hey, thanks, John. That was a great presentation. I want to say that I think it's super cool that what Ashley and you, John, you guys are doing in your states with the Haws and the Waze system. So here it goes. Here I'm going to get started now. So I just want to start off by thanking everybody for allowing me to present for you today. My name is Juan Hernandez, Principal ITS Programs and Operations Engineer, and today I'm going to talk to you about NDOT's crowdsourcing tool that we use for traffic incident management purposes. Here's an overview of what I'm going to be talking about today. What I want to point out is that it's important to note that when I say we throughout this presentation, I am referring to the collaborative efforts between NDOT, Highway Patrol, the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada, the Department of Public Safety, and of course, Waycare. So let's start with an overview of the Department of Transportation. The department is responsible for the planning, construction, operations, and maintenance of 5,400 miles of highway and over 1,000 bridges, which makes up the state's highway system. Each district and sub-district has its own traffic incident management coalition that meets bi-monthly to discuss incidents, lessons learned, and conducts first responder training. To date, approximately 57% of the state's first responders have been trained in Sharp 2 traffic incident management training. So here's a little fun fact about our state. Our busiest stretch of roadway is Interstate 15 in downtown Las Vegas, with an annual daily traffic of 300,000 vehicles, or 1/10 of the state's population. It also experiences 25,000 lane changes per hour and has approximately 3 crashes per day. We recently substantially completed a widening project in that area called Project Neon. That project was nearly 20 years in the making and consisted of widening 3.7 miles of Interstate 15 between US 95, the US 95 I-15 Spaghetti Bowl and downtown Las Vegas. I think, let me pause for a second. My slide went away. There we go. As you can see from the pictures, there was major right-of-way acquisition that took place for that project. The project also included 28 bridges, 42 active traffic management signs, and 20 continuous miles of high occupancy lanes. All in all, design for the project was $25 million, right-of-way acquisition was $250 million, and construction, including construction engineering, was $625 million for a ground total of $900 million, making Project Neon the largest public works project in Nevada history. So which brings us to the question of why we are here today. And we are here because we can no longer build our way out of congestion. And we've entered an era where technology has turned crowdsourcing tools and vehicles into real-time traffic sensors, providing low-cost, high-quality data that can provide insights to our traffic operations, road weather conditions, travel patterns, and more. For this reason, we need to leverage this opportunity to utilize AI-driven resources to improve mobility and maximize network efficiency before we consider the traditional method of construction. So in Southern Nevada, we began looking for innovative solutions to break down the silos that had been institutionalized at the Traffic Management Center which co-locates NDOT, RTC, Highway Patrol, and the Department of Public Safety under one traffic operations theater. That's where Waycare's AI-driven predictive analysis platform system came in. The platform was introduced as a pilot project in Las Vegas in 2017 to showcase its deep learning algorithm capabilities. The platform system introduced a cloud-based platform for immediate access to incident information, meaning dispatchers and first responders could access the information from anywhere simply by using a smartphone, tablet, or desktop computer. Waycare's deep learning algorithm pulls information from a variety of resources. Here's a diagram of the historical and real-time traffic information that the system is capturing in order for the AI-driven technology to output advanced analytics. What I want to point out is that as real-time traffic information is coming in, the TMC, Traffic Management Center, is able to verify what is being reported, and once it has been confirmed, the information can be shared to the public via Twitter, Waze, 511, Gov Delivery, email, and text messages. Here's the list of data partners that Waycare pulls information from. You may wonder why Waycare would need to partner with service providers such as Ticketmasters, right there on the lower left. Well, with the information provided by that service provider, the platform system is able to determine how many people are coming to a special event. And based on historical crash data, roadway construction and road closure information, recurring bottleneck locations, and real-time weather and traffic incident status conditions, the system is able to predict areas that are at high risk for potential crashes. With this information, first responders such as NHP, FSP, and our Freeway Service Patrol can allocate resources proactively. Here's a snapshot of the information that the personnel at the TMC are receiving. The important thing to note here is that as soon as an incident pops up, all participating agencies are receiving accurate visual and textual information in real time with stamped timelines for improved interoperable communications, proactive incident response, and reduced need for radio communications. First responders are also able to input and receive incident information in real time from their in-vehicle tablets. It's important to note that whether it's the first responder or the TMC dispatch operators, the information only needs to be inputted into the system once for improved accuracy and reduced duplication efforts. Here's a snapshot of the platform system itself. The toolbar on the left allows you to toggle on and off a lot of the platform's analytical features such as crashes, irregular traffic congestion, freeway service patrol assist, construction activity, roadway closures, maintenance crew work orders, special events. It has access to our traffic cameras, dynamic message signs, and you can also see where our field resources are located, such as our freeway service patrol drivers, highway patrol personnel, and the NDOT maintenance crews. Once the user clicks on a specific incident, a close-up of a specific incident allows dispatch operators to provide a real-time snapshot of the incident to first responders. The snapshot combined with accurate information, location allows first responders to strategically plan their approach and perform their work safer and more efficiently. Now let's talk about the real-time predictive analytics feature for identification of high crash risk locations. As mentioned before, the system pulls information from several big data service providers, such as Geotab, Waze, and Verizon. The red line on the map indicates the high-risk incident location given the specific circumstances, such as current traffic congestion, special events, incidents nearby, bottlenecks, and in-vehicle behavior such as swerving or abrupt braking. The right column indicates the type of insight that is coming up, for example, a special event, road closure, recurring traffic congestion during a specific time period, and the system is able to provide 24-hour forecasting broken down into 2-hour segments, allowing decision makers to strategically allocate resources proactively. So now I'm going to show you guys a quick video of how the system works. The video is a 30-second video. So I'm going to play it first, let you guys look at it, and then I'm going to play it again and explain what's going on. So 1 second here, please. Okay, so I'm just going to play it again real quick, and I'm going to try to talk fast because the dispatch operator is doing this. He's reporting that incident really fast, and I'm going to try to keep up with what he's doing. So here we go one more time. So as the TMC operator is actively watching the CCTV cameras at the operation theater, they notice an alert provided by the WayCare system as shown on the right column. Once the operator clicks on the alert message, the operator places a pin on the map at the exact crash location and begins filling out incident information via the drop-down menus such as incident detection time, location, corridor, orientation, direction, lane types, number of lanes impacted, a brief description of the situation, and special notes for like FSP and NHP such as like use other routes, expect delays, injury or fatality incident, hazmat incident, or secondary crash. And then once the information has been finalized and the operator then selects the optional public delivery methods such as Waze, 511, and Gov Delivery. So what I want to point out is that once the incident is reported, everyone is able to follow consistent and accurate incident information in real time without the need for additional radio communication. So let me go back real quick to the presentation. Okay. Now let's talk about the proactive crash prevention feature. We're evaluating the platform system for proactive crash prevention use cases in areas where the system has identified high crash locations and/or high speed differentials through construction work zones. We decided to test a problematic work zone location along I-15 and strategically built a raised platform for law enforcement to station at and slow down motorists prior to approaching the work zone. The system identified specific days and times to activate advanced warning messages and for law enforcement to be stationed at with its emergency lights on. The stats for the preventive crash site were tracked for a 4-month test period, and the results indicated a 17% reduction in primary crashes and 90% of the motorists slowed down to 65 miles an hour before reaching the work zone. Due to the success of the test case, we'll be placing additional preventative crash sites at strategic locations that were identified by the platform system later this fall. The system also is able to generate various reports such as Sharp 2 statistical reports, performance measures statistical reports, and the system can generate heat maps of crash hotspots as well as generate heat maps of irregular traffic congestion anomalies. Through its grant, NHP is also working with WayCare to develop a special police escort feature that can be activated by FSP, our maintenance crews, and our hazmat service provider. This will expedite the response of Freeway Service Patrol, the hazmat service provider, and maintenance crews to severe crash incidents because in Nevada, only emergency vehicles can ride on the shoulder when responding to incidents. This winter, we're also expanding the system to northern Nevada, and we're going to evaluate the system for winter operations as well as test the system for rural applications where wireless connectivity is limited. And I apologize for that picture. It's not coming up correctly, but it was just a picture of a snowplow right there. So in conclusion, the benefits achieved as a result of the WayCare platform system include reduced radio communication through seamless real-time interoperable communications, streamlined incident detection through the use of multiple data sources, proactive incident response and better allocation of resources, statistical reports and performance measure tracking, and more importantly, we were able to achieve an average of 12-minute reduction in incident response times, which in turn improves safety by reducing secondary crashes. And that is all I had for today. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation, and I'm going to turn it over back to Nathaniel.
All right. Well, thank you, Ashley, John, and Juan, for providing us some really great information on how you are using crowdsourced data tools for traffic incident management. If you would like to get more information on crowdsourcing for operations and some of the other resources and activities we're working on, you can also reach out to our EDC5 crowdsourcing for operation leads. That would be James Collier and Paul Joden. And with that, we will go ahead and open it up to question and answer. All right, so our first question came from Vince Garcia, and I believe this was for Ashley. He wanted to know if you could provide us with cost information. Also, can you tell us what the traffic counts were in the areas where you had vehicles, so we can gauge how much of the traffic flow was getting an alert?
Hey, real quick, Nathaniel, you're breaking up a lot. I don't know if it's on my end or if it's on everybody's end. John and Ashley, can you guys hear him just fine?
It was pretty choppy for me as well.
Okay,
it was for me.
just fine. Okay, you guys are coming in just fine.
It might be on my end because you guys are sounding choppy too. Let me hang on. Does it sound better on not on the speakerphone?
Oh.
No, it still sounds the same.
Okay. Well, Kelly or Nilo, do you want to go ahead and lead the Q&A since obviously my phone line's not coming in very well?
Sure, I can do that. So Ashley, there's a couple questions from Vince Garcia. Can you provide us with cost information? Also, can you tell us what the traffic counts were in the areas where you had vehicles so we can gauge how much of the traffic flow was getting an alert?
Sure. So for the MakeWay pilot, which is on the eastern side of our state, we are actually piloting that for free. We're essentially their pilot as well, so they're in the beginning stages of their partnership with Waze. So that is a free pilot. And in regards to the Haws alert, it depends on your number of fleet and where you're at in the implementation, but there's some information online that you can get that where I think around for like a 1-year contract, so after pilot you would pay $700 per vehicle per year. For a 5-year contract it'd be $500 per vehicle per year, etc. And like in our Kansas City area for our I-70 interstate, like the average daily traffic for I-70 is about 140,000 cars on average. So, and that's one of the more highly traveled areas in the Kansas City area.
He would also like to know, are you only sharing with Waze, or are there other systems that receive the alerts?
So yes, we are currently just sharing with Waze, but Haws in particular, they have other partnerships with other companies such as the U.S. Homeland Security, Jaguar, Ford, etc. But specifically when it comes to our data, we are only partnering, Haws is only partnering with our data to Waze. And the same with MakeWay. It's just with Waze as well and not external or other sources.
Thank you. Question about partnering and coordinating with Waze. So I guess any of you could probably answer this. Can you talk more about your experience and any challenges coordinating with Waze? Did they require the data in particular format? Was there any resistance to presenting this information?
So from the Missouri side, we have not had any resistance with presenting the information. And in regards to partnerships with Waze, so Haws Alert already had that partnership established with Waze, and therefore if we have issues, we go to Haws and they go to Waze. But then on the eastern side of our state with St. Louis, using MakeWay, MakeWay did not have that partnership with Waze when we first started the pilot. And when we reached out to Waze, they basically indicated that we needed to have a single point of contact for the state. So we've identified who that one person is and have since made that connection between Waze and MakeWay. But speaking for my experience, I have not had any direct issues or concerns with Waze. I don't know if Juan or John has had anything they want to share with Waze experience.
I'll let John go first.
Okay. I guess we've had an up and down relationship with them. We wish that the customer service was a little bit better. As far as getting the data and receiving the data, we don't have too many problems with it. If we do have a problem, we report it to the CCP events. They seem to get back to us right away. They're trying to address some of our issues, but the issue is, for operations, and I may be selfish in saying this, is because it's important to our customers. We want to get the safety message out there, a safety audio alert out there, or something that helps them. It will help them get actually more Waze users. We've been involved in several events. There is a map editing event coming up here November 2nd. There is, I know I-95 Coalition is trying to get a lot of DOTs together to bring all of these issues up to Waze. That happens in November or December. But we just want to make sure that, our voices get bigger and Waze at least helps us. It's such a great tool. It's just, we want to make it better. So that's kind of our feeling for Waze.
All right, and on the NDOT side, NDOT does partner up with Waze, and we have not had a problem like giving and receiving information. Though I would say that our crowdsourcing AI predictive analytics service provider, Waycare, they're also partnered with Waze, and they're both based out of Israel. So since they are partners with Waze, like we don't have to NDOT doesn't have to really deal with Waze because that's what the service provider has to do. So on our end, we have not experienced problems.
Great, thank you. Let's see. A lot of questions here. The webinar is recorded, and the presentations are available for download. I can see that several times. Let's see here. Looks like, John, you've answered some of these questions.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, John, did you answer the one about the requirement docs for the STAR app?
Yeah, whoever needs to,
Okay.
They can email me and I can send out the requirements document user guide. So if anybody needs it, just let me know.
Okay. Ashley, what specific equipment was added to the vehicles involved when the lights are activated?
So there is a sensor that is wired to whenever we actually flip on our lights, it triggers that, and then it's a GPS unit that goes back to our TMCs and adds the notice to our software there at the TMCs. And if you want some specific information on both equipments on both sides of the state, I can get that information sent out as well.
So Sarah Burnworth asked, can you share more about the special Escort feature?
Sure. So it's a feature that's currently in development with in coordination with Highway Patrol and Waycare. And basically, it is just an activation button on through the platform system where whenever there is a severe incident on our roadways and freeway service patrol or our maintenance units or our hazmat service provider, when they need to get to the incident, expedite the response to that incident, they're able to activate that feature through the interface, like the tablet. And there is a dedicated police officer that is supposed to be looking out for that activation, and the Waycare application will provide GPS coordinates to our freeway service patrol, hazmat, and maintenance, and that way the patrol officer can go find them and give them an escort, like on the shoulder, to our other first responders. Because like I was saying, like our maintenance crews and freeway service patrol and hazmat service provider, they are not allowed to ride on the shoulders for incidents. It's we're still working on updating that in the legislation, but currently they're not allowed to do that. Did I answer the question?
Thank you. Ed Mark, what has been the feedback from PennDOT maintenance on the percent of pothole and signs down reported by Waze?
Well, it's actually from the Turnpike, not PennDOT maintenance. It's been really positive. Our maintenance guys actually like it. Gives them a QA, kind of a QA thing to it, and the process. On Fridays or Mondays, they'll go right back out and look if there is a pothole there, and knowing where the potholes are actually helps our management out and the maintenance guys out. They actually take pride in going out and not having any potholes. So when they see one, they're all over it. So it just gives them a incentive to go out there and get things done. So
great. Juan, someone is requesting is there a way for you to share the video?
The video? Sure. Yeah. If they contact me through the, I provided my contact, I will be happy to share the video.
Great. Thank you. Michael Fitzpatrick has a general question to the presenters. Have you had any issues with crowdsourced data creating false duplicates? Fear being Waze and others get our incident web feed, post it, then we re-ingest that data back from Waze.
Yes, I'll go first. This is Juan Hernandez. From our end, I would say that, yeah, the data does need to get, it's a work in progress and it does need to get cleaned up. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's the data itself. It could be the users, because I know that we had in our case, Freeway Service Patrol was able to input the incident types as they're going, and Waycare is tracking that information. And then what the problem that we were encountering is like consistent labeling of the incidents. Like for example, sometimes multiple Freeway Service Patrol would be at one incident, and they would report it as, somebody will report it as a crash, another one would report it as scene safety, maybe, and maybe another one. There's usually only two. Then there's rarely do three of them show up. But so when it comes to statistical purposes, like it is something that we needed to look at more carefully as far as like how mitigations were being labeled through the system, and like what it was really reporting as far as like crashes, scene safety, disabled vehicles, and all that kind of stuff. But so like I was saying, it's not necessarily the crowdsourced data. It's just how, like, what information is going in and how it's being labeled.
I'll go on. I guess what Juan is saying. It's not really the data that Waze is coming through, but sometimes depending on the rating of the user too. I mean, we also look at the reliability and the rating of that particular user. and we don't really have like false duplicates with Waze too much. A lot of people, you know, they love to report, and I guess our congestion incidents, there's a lot of them, but we know about the congestion beforehand, so we know it's a valid incident. But as far as the false duplicates, there's some of that, but not much.
Thank you. Juan, do you mind typing your contact information directly into the chat box so people can see it there? Okay. David Morena has a question for Ashley. How do you know how many vehicles in the traffic stream are receiving your alerts from any individual equipped vehicle? Does Waze report that to you? Your counts are so small, sounds like only 1% of traffic stream might be accessing Waze.
So all the alerts that we get come from Haws. That's where we get our information, and the numbers that we get that are alerted through Waze is a total number of alerts. It's not broken down by truck. We can separate from the Kansas side and the Missouri side. This is specifically for the Haws alert. And overall, since several months ago, we've tracked that we've notified almost 69,000 total drivers. But specifically during that 60-day trial period between April and June, when there was just one MoDOT truck and one KDOT truck in that pilot, on the Missouri side, we had tracked that we alerted about 9,700 drivers. But again, that information comes from Haws directly. We don't get that from Waze.
Do you know how they calculate that number?
Not specifically. I'm not sure if just the Haws alert somehow partners with Waze. I'm not exactly sure how they get that information.
Actually, neither am I. I'd love to know, but I have no idea.
I hope I got everyone's. It looks like John replied directly into the chat box to a number of the questions. Are there any other questions that anyone would like to ask of Ashley, John, or Juan? Looks like we've got someone typing. Oh, it says great presentation. Thank you all. Well, with that, Nilo, I'll hand it back over to you.
Thank you, Kelly. I just wanted to take a minute and thank our presenters and moderators, and also Kelly for this great webinar, and also from everyone who attended today's webinar. I hope you found it helpful. And that is all. So on behalf of the National Operations Center of Excellence, thanks for joining us today, and have a great rest of your day.